Good evening, good morning, depending on where it is on the earth you are. Greetings to the scattered nation of the Israelite people, the true Israelite people of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, scattered as the Bible predicted through slavery, through oppression, because of the disobedience of our fathers, and now being awakened and brought back to the only true God, Yahweh, by Yahweh Shai, the only Messiah, and being awakened and brought back and now awaiting the return of Messiah and the establishment of his eternal kingdom. Greetings. Greetings to those that are not of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that have not been scattered to the earth through slavery, but want to serve the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and want to be a part of that scattered nation through faith in the Hebrew Messiah, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Greetings. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, trying to save lives. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage for us to keep our places clean. Blessings upon those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on those who are trying to deliver boys and girls, teenagers, babies, children, and adults from prostitution, child molestation, and pedophilia, sex slave and human trafficking operations, and curses upon those that support these disgusting industries. Finally, blessings upon those that are trying to help the homeless. 600,000 men, women, and children in the United States that don't have a roof over their head. Millions around the world, especially those in Haiti right now, that are in dire straits, don't have a roof over their head or sometimes even food to eat. Blessings upon those trying to help, and blessings upon them, the sufferers, for theirs is the kingdom. Today, I want to go over some things that are going on right now on the earth. Not only is Bible prophecy being fulfilled every day on the earth, every day, Bible prophecy is being fulfilled. Not only that, but we are also getting object lessons on a daily basis. If we're paying attention, you get object lessons. You see, most people that are awakening from the Hebrew Israelite nation are coming out of Christian churches. And that has a lot of problems associated with it. The Christianity church basically uses the New Testament, or they focus on the New Testament. They don't really, sometimes they don't look at the Old Testament at all, or if they do, they pick verses here and there. But they don't focus on it. They focus on the New Testament because they created a white Jesus, and they use the white Jesus and the New Testament as the doctrine of their beliefs. Also, this makes them only look at a couple of scriptures and make decisions on doctrine based on a New Testament scripture that they're just expounding on. What also it does, though, unwittingly to the persons that's receiving this falsehood, what it does also is it causes the receiver to think of the Bible and the things of the Bible as separate from real life. So that Bible prophecy is being fulfilled and they don't realize it. So that things are happening and they're being deceived and they don't realize it. And this is dangerous. We are recently right now seeing an example of this. For example, it was less than a week ago that there was a massive earthquake in Haiti. Less than a week ago. There's a massive earthquake where over 1,200 people were killed. It's more than that, but I'm being conservative. Where there were more than 5,000 people injured. Where there's thousands of people homeless. Okay? Less than a week ago. And yet, what you are hearing in the news constantly right now is Afghanistan. Are you not? What you're hearing in the news constantly, what we're being barraged with all the major networks, is Afghanistan. The people in politics are politicking about pulling out of Afghanistan or staying in Afghanistan, and the desperation of the people in Afghanistan because of the Muslim Taliban. And you are hearing nothing about any aid going to Haiti. You're not hearing anything else about the earthquake in Haiti. There's no follow-up about it. Why? Because the powers that be want Haiti to suffer. That's number one, which you have to understand. That's called misdirection. So you're looking at Afghanistan, the news is pointing you to that, and Haiti is suffering. Okay? It happens all the time. And if, for example, if there was an earthquake in France, the whole news media would be there. There'd be an outpour. People all over the world would have candles for France if that happened. But in Haiti, no. And then, this is the depth. I'm just giving you a couple as an example of recent, but this kind of stuff happens all the time. So here, you're hearing arguments on both sides about the withdrawal from Afghanistan. Some people are saying we shouldn't withdraw and leave those poor people there, and some people are saying we should. But think about this for a minute. The United States of America spends upward of $500 to $700 billion each year on the military. In fact, they spend so much on the military. If you looked at a pie chart of the budget, you'd see just a sliver like this for everything else, and the rest of it would be the military. So the United States spends more dollars and puts more effort and more time into making weapons and supporting the military than anything else. It's the most powerful military on the planet. So why, with the most powerful military on the planet, have they been at war with this small country, Afghanistan, for 20 years? For 20 years. And this is not the first time we have seen a situation like this. This was also Vietnam. It was the same thing. So the United States government has been at war for more than 20 years. And let me just tell you what it's been costing you and me. Over $1 billion a month for 20 years for Afghanistan. That's what it's been costing us. $1 billion a month. Who's getting that money for 20 years? Who's getting that money for 20 years? Corporations that make guns, bullets, bombs, tanks, jeeps, planes, drones, soldiers, uniforms, food, rations, boots. 20 years. And the senators and congressmen that vote for these wars getting kickbacks from all of those billions that are spent every month. Meanwhile, you got young men and women doing multiple tours in Afghanistan, getting killed, and they think they're fighting for freedom. Now, bless them, because their heart is pure in that they're trying to fight for what they think is freedom. But unfortunately, what they're really fighting for is corporate wealth. So let's go over what I just said. You have a major earthquake in Haiti. You had a 20-year war in Afghanistan that they decided to pull out. When the United States pulls out of a place, I can guarantee you 100% there's going to be another war somewhere else, because it's profitable to the people that are deceiving us. Let me say that again. It's profitable to the people that are deceiving us. You think about that. $20 billion a year. Spread out, let's say, over maybe 10 to 20 different companies. Let's call it 20. It may not be that many. You're talking about McDonnell Douglas. You're talking about Boeing. You're talking about Grumman. You're talking about Halliburton, right? Electric Boat, McDonnell Douglas. It's spread over, these weapons coming out of, and other like that, and subcontractors. And so you got Lockheed Martin. That's right. You got $1 billion a month now for 20 years. It's probably, I'm being conservative. My numbers are low. I'm telling you that right now. It's more than that, but I'm being conservative. Okay. Men and women getting killed. Some of them come back over here and they're on the street homeless right now. Can't deal with mentally what they saw over there, killing women and children and men, trying to save their own life in a foreign land. And they come over here, lose their mind, and they're on the street. Now you tell me, is that righteous? Is that righteous by any definition? You tell me. If there's a God in heaven, what's going to happen to such a place that does these things? Let me ask you this. How many empires has they been before the United States? And what happened to them? You see why we are saying constantly, there's very little time left? That this kingdom is destined to be destroyed? And the Bible showed us that it's destined to be destroyed in short order? I just gave you one example of a recent example of what we're talking about. A recent example. But stuff like this goes on all the time. And this is the key here. When you're in Christianity, people can get caught up in man's philosophy. See, it always comes back to just a couple of basic things, brethren. Always comes back to a couple of basic things. Number one, Genesis. Always back there. Genesis. Always back there. Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3, verse 4 and 5. Genesis 3, 4 and 5. Notice what it says. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. Lie number one. Ye shall not surely die. Lie number two. For Yah doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Lie number two. Man can be God. Always comes back to that. And we need to understand that this is real. For example, today, I was on social media today, and a brother posted something on social media, and what he posted, or it was a repost, what he said was that, Black people are being deceived by MSNBC and Fox News, that we're being brainwashed because we're believing one side or the other, and both of them are lying. And he finished his tweet by saying, do your own research. Do your own research. Don't, think for yourself, he said. But see, this brother doesn't know who he is. He's a brother that I believe is sincere in trying to bring out what he believes is true. But he's missing something. For the Israelite, truth is the word. Prophecy tells us what's happening. See, you don't need the news to know what's happening. You just need prophecy. But if you listen to man, you'll get confused. And that's what happens when you're in Christianity. You have two different worlds. There's the worlds which you go into your church on Saturday or Sunday, and then there's the world you live the rest of the time. And they two different worlds. Because that's how people live in Christianity. There's two different worlds. And that's because the truth be told, them churches are just philosophy factories. That's all they are. After the imagination of man's heart. There's no white Jesus in the Bible. There's no Baptist church in the Bible. There's no Christian church in the Bible. It's not in there. The Bible talks about a great whore that would bring an institution that man would honor, which is the Christian church. That is there. Starting in Rome, that is there. And having daughters, that is there. Because all your Christian institutions started with Rome. All of them did. All of them are breaking out offshoots of Rome, and Rome then sent the Jesuits out, and they done took over all of them. The Protestant movement's a failure. That's the bottom line. All of the pioneers, Martin Luther and Zwingli and all of them that died trying to reform the Roman Catholic Church, obviously they failed because they didn't reform it, and it's taken over them. May they rest in peace. No, the only true gospel is coming from the nation of Israel, the scattered chosen ones. And that's the gospel that reveals Father Yahweh's righteousness through his only begotten son, Messiah Yahweh Shai, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. That's the only true gospel. And it will awaken us. It is awakening us to the truth to understand, for example, that man's trying to be God. Even the brother that said that, when he said, think for yourself and do your own research. See, that's a good advice if you're looking at the word of the Most High. It's not good advice if you think you have within yourself the ability to overcome this deception, because you don't. It's like when you're trying to overcome deception on your own, check this out. That means you're trying to play chess with Satan. Can you win in a chess match against Satan? You can't. Messiah told Peter, the devil hath desired to have you, Peter, that he may sift you as wheat. He said, but I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not. And when you are converted, strengthen the brethren. Why did he say that? That's how easy it is for the devil to snatch somebody up. And when he said, when you're converted, what does that mean? That means when you're finished trying to trust in your own ingenuity as a man as God, and you're trusting in the Father Yahweh. Because Peter was trusting in man. He didn't understand. He was in the flesh. His heart was hard. It got broken when he heard them rooster crows. Okay? That's what happens. That's what happens. And now the rubber's hitting the road. Like I said, we ain't got much time left. This thing is going to go. You can see by the corruption. I just described you a little bit when we're talking about Afghanistan and Haiti. We're talking just a little bit. I mean, like a grain of sand on a seashore is what we're talking about in terms of the amount and level of corruption and deception and unrighteousness and evil on the planet. Just a little bit. Now, you see Haiti in trouble, right? Every single year, the United States gives $4 billion of military might and weapons to the state of Israel every year. Every single year. Now, if they claim to be the true Israelites, is the Messiah the United States government? It must be. Because if the United States stopped sending them $4 billion a year over there, them Arabs over there would destroy them people. Them Arabs over there have been destroyed, them people. So the United States must be the Messiah. Must be. Now the Bible calls the U.S. the lamb-like beast that speaks like a dragon and deceiveth the earth and works on behalf of the beast of Rome. Brethren, I want to say what I said before. I want to say it again. Every time you see news media, always start off with this premise. They're lying to you. Seriously. Don't ever think that they're telling you the straight truth. There is always 100% of the time an angle. Now, let me explain also about lies. Sometimes there's an outright lie, like what the devil said right here, you're going to be a god, right? Then there's an exaggeration. An exaggeration is also a lie, right? That's also a lie. Or dropping an innuendo, like making a suggestion. That's also a lie. Devil did that at Eve too. He made the suggestion. Yea, did y'all not say you can eat of every tree of the garden? See that? They use all of these tricks. And these tithe collecting so-called reverends and pastors. See, man, that's what I'm saying. It's all about dollars. And when these plagues start hitting this planet, the way the y'all's going to let it come loose on them, like right now, you're seeing just the beginning of it right now. But in a couple of years, you're going to see it heavy and hard. And when you see that, dollars ain't going to help them. There's no dollars that's going to get them boils off of them. There's no dollars that's going to change the water from blood. There's no dollars that can stop that. But greed is so strong. Greed and lust for power in the U.S. and in the world is so strong. That is why, brothers and sisters, we must, if we want to survive now, you got to focus on what the word is telling us. Focus on what it's showing us is going to happen. Okay? The world's going to see, this is the thing. You have to understand. If the Bible is true, then the world's a liar. Because the world and the Bible are in two separate directions. The Bible says this. Look. Leviticus chapter 18. Let's look at Leviticus 18 for a second. Leviticus chapter 18. Now, let's compare Leviticus 18 with what society is telling us today. Okay, let's compare that. Now, also, of course, being that we're looking in Leviticus, if you're in a Christian church, you don't study this at all anyway. Am I right? If you're in a Christian church, you don't even look at this. Leviticus 18, you don't know nothing about it. Okay, you don't know nothing about it. Yet this is the foundation of what the New Testament is based on. The gospel is in Leviticus. Most people don't know that because you don't read it. Please read your Bible. Read it through. Before you start looking at all the other books, read this Bible through. It will bless you. It will prepare you. It will protect you from the deception that's hitting us on the daily. Leviticus chapter 18. Let's see. Where should I start? I'd like to start from the beginning, but, well, there's one particular area I want to get to, but I'm going to read from the beginning, just for context. Leviticus chapter 18, beginning at verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, now, watch this. So, in other words, the Most High spoke to Moses. Remember now, he said, I speak to prophets in visions and dreams, but I don't speak to Moses like that. He said, I speak to Moses like a man speaks to his friend. There was just a thick veil between Moses and the Most High when the Most High spoke to him through the veil. He never spoke to anybody like that, except Messiah. Okay, so here he says, Yahweh spoke to Moses. Okay, so he's giving Moses some instructions. What did he say to him? Verse 2. And he says to him, speak unto the children of Israel. So Yahweh spoke to Moses directly. There's no other man in the history of planet Earth that Yah spoke to like Moses, except for Messiah. That's why the song of deliverance on the sea of glass in Revelation 15 is called the song of Moses and the Lamb. Moses was a Levite, tribe of Levi, children of Israel. No other man on the planet, not Muhammad, not anybody, did he speak to like this? Nobody. Especially nobody that's not Israelite. Okay? So he said, Yahweh spoke to Moses saying, speak unto the children of Israel. So now he's speaking unto his people. What is he saying? Speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, I am Yahweh, your most high. After the doings of the land of Egypt wherein ye dwelt, ye shall not do. After the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, ye shall not do. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. Okay. So look, they had been in Egypt for about 200 years, give or take, about 200 years. It wasn't 400 years they were in Egypt. It was 430 years from the time Abraham left Ur of the Chaldees to their deliverance. It was 430 years. And it was about 200 years in Egypt, okay? And when the Most High said you're going to be strangers in land is not yours 400 years, that was from when Isaac was weaned at age 5 until the deliverance. The other 30 years was from age 5 of Isaac going back to when Abraham left Ur of the Chaldees. That was 30 years. Abraham was 75 when he left. He was 100 when he had Isaac, and Isaac was weaned at 105. That's when he's counted as a person that's, I'm telling about, as a person that can be counted as part of the population, age 5 when he's weaned. Okay, so from that age 5, that was 30 years back, and then 400 years to the deliverance. That's what he said. Your seed, that's Isaac, shall be a stranger in the land that's not theirs 400 years. That was the land of Canaan and Egypt. So now they were in Egypt for about 2 centuries. That's still a long time. Okay, I mean, we've been in the United States for 400 years, but the United States has only been the nation for about a little over 2 centuries, 2.5 centuries. Okay, so now they have picked up the culture of the Egyptians, of the Mizraim. It was a heathen culture. They have picked up the culture of the Hamitic people. So much so that they started thinking like Hamitic people. They have forgotten who they were. So now in the wilderness here, before they get into the promised land, Yah is teaching them about who they are and who he is. And he's the God of their fathers. This is all very familiar to us today. Why? Because we, as the Israelite people of the southern kingdom of Judah, have been brought into places like the United States for 4 centuries. And we're wondering why we're not treated like citizens. It's because we're not from here. This is not our homeland. You understand? We come from the southern kingdom of Judah. But we have forgotten who we are. We have forgotten our names, our language, our culture. And yet, circumstances and situations keep reminding us we don't fit in this culture either. You can call it racism, you can call it white supremacy, whatever you want to call it. We're not fitting in this culture, obviously, after 4 centuries. We're fighting to try to fit in, but we're never going to fit in because we're not from here. That's not where we're from. Okay, so now he's teaching our fathers who thought they was Egyptians what it is. Okay, Leviticus chapter 18. Oh, by the way, this theme also, that's why some people think, you're supposed to wear a beard. The Bible never commands you to wear a beard. It never commands any man to wear a beard. It tells you how not to cut it because there was a style they had in Egypt that was a pagan style that had to do with pagan gods. And he said, don't cut it yourselves like that. That's why it wasn't like you had to have a beard. He was telling them how to keep it. Don't cut it like the Egyptians did when you was in their land. And that's why he said, don't put tattoos on yourself like they did. Don't put cuttings and markings on your flesh like them. See, he was trying to get them out of that culture. That sound familiar? Let's keep going. Verse 4. Ye shall do my judgments and keep my ordinances to walk therein. I am Yahweh, your most high. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am Yahweh. None of you shall approach to any that is near kin to him to uncover their nakedness. I am Yahweh. So you're near kin. When it says uncovering their nakedness, that means you're trying to approach them to have sex. right? Because sex originally was made with two naked people. Adam and Eve was naked. So when he talked about uncovering nakedness, you're talking about having sex. Don't have sex with your near kin. Okay, so he's giving them what it is. Now, there are some things the fathers were ignorant about because Abraham married his sister. That was his sister. They had the same father and different mothers. Abraham and Sarah. That was his sister. So now he's telling them, don't do that. Okay, don't do that. Obviously, Adam's children had to marry their sisters. Didn't they? Because Eve was the mother of all the living. So she had a lot of girls. That's why when she had the boy, she said, oh, I've gotten a man from y'all. She had a lot of girls already. That's why when he left to go into the land of Nod, there was girls there. And he had a lot. See, you can have one man, you can have 1,000 girls. That guy can get all 1,000 girls pregnant. Right? But a girl can only get pregnant by one man at a time. She can't get pregnant by 10 men. So there's always more women than men. That's why she was happy when she had the man. She said, I've gotten a man from your house. But now he's telling his children, don't have sex with people that's near kin to you. Don't do that. Okay, let's keep going. Verse 7. The nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother thou shalt not uncover. She is thy mother. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. Now we saw when Ham uncovered his father's nakedness. Remember that? So they actually knew about this. That's why we are not, once our children are grown, you don't be looking on their nakedness. And they're not supposed to be looking on your nakedness. Okay? We're supposed to keep ourselves covered. All right? Let's keep going. Verse 8. The nakedness of thy father's wife thou shalt not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. Now, assume now you have a father. Your mother and him was divorced or she died. And he's with somebody else now. He's with another woman. You're not supposed to have sex with your father's woman. But let me ask you, does that go on in the world today? Are there children that have sex with their father's woman? You answer that. Let's keep going. Verse 9. The nakedness of thy sister, the daughter of thy father, or the daughter of thy mother, whether she be born at home or born abroad, even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover. So you're not supposed to have sex with your sister. Whether she's a full sister or your half sister, you're not supposed to have sex with your sister. Again, let me ask you, are there men that ever raped their sisters today? Are there women who have been raped by their brothers today? I'll let you answer that. Let's keep going. Verse 10. The nakedness of thy son's daughter, or of thy daughter's daughter, even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover, for it is thine own nakedness. So your granddaughter, you shouldn't have sex with. Let me ask you, are there men today in the United States or in the UK or in any of the so-called industrialized nations that have had sex with their granddaughter? Has that happened? See, y'all don't want to know, but this happens all the time. In all the nations I just named, it happens all the time. It happens often. Okay, let's continue. Verse 11. The nakedness of thy father's wife's daughter, begotten of thy father, she is thy sister. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. We covered that. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's sister. She is thy father's near kinswoman. You should not have sex with your aunt. You should not have sex with your aunt. Do people have sex with their aunts today? Yes. Let's continue. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's sister, for she is thy mother's near kinswoman. Again, you should not have sex with your aunt. Just reiterating that. They're making sure you got all angles. You're not supposed to have sex with your aunt or your granddaughter or your mother or your father. Let's continue. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's brother. Thou shalt not approach to his wife. She is thy aunt. So again, your aunt, your father's brother's wife, your uncle's wife. No. Your uncle's wife. No. Close kin. No. Verse 15. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy daughter-in-law. She is thy son's wife. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. Your son's woman. You're not supposed to have sex with your son's woman. Do men have sex with their son's woman today? Does that happen? Yes. And it's not always rape either. It's not always rape either. Truth be told. Okay, let's keep going. Verse 17. Wait, by the way, before I continue, do you think any of these laws have been done away with? I mean, people tell you, right, the New Testament Christians, the Old Testament laws are done away with. Don't they tell you that? You think any of these have been done away? So if a Christian, next time they tell you the law has been done away with, they must be having sex with their sister or their aunt or their daughter-in-law. They must be, because the law's been done away with. Isn't that correct? Because Jesus died on the cross, so the law is done away with. This is the evil law that's against us. That's what they say, right? Correct? And there's no place in the New Testament that goes into this kind of detail about these things. You know why? Because the Israelites were in the New Testament, not white Christians. And they already knew this stuff. That's why John the Baptist was telling Herod, that woman you married, you shouldn't have married. That's your brother's wife. See, he was telling Herod, you uncovered your brother's nakedness. Of course, for that truth, he got beheaded. But I guess the law must be done away with. Let's continue. Verse 17. We're getting closer to home now. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter, neither shalt thou take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness, for they are near kinswomen. It is wickedness. I mean, he goes and says, this is wickedness. You cannot have a woman and her daughter. You don't have sex with the woman and then have sex with her daughter. You think this is happening in the world today? Man having sex with the woman and the daughter, or the daughter and the mother? They've done reality TV shows on that. It is wickedness. Let's continue. Verse 18. Leviticus 18:18. This is Most High speaking to the children of Israel through Moses. Neither shalt thou take a wife to her sister to vex her, uncover her nakedness beside the other in her lifetime. In other words, don't divorce a woman and marry her sister. Don't do that. Now, if your wife dies, sure, you can marry her sister. He said in her lifetime. So if your wife died and then you go marry the sister, no problem. But you don't leave the woman and say, oh, I always was in love with the sister. Don't do that. Don't do that. Problems. I think y'all understand how kind of problems that is. Hey, has that happened? Everything we've said so far is happened in the world today. Okay, let's continue. Watch this one. Listen carefully now. Verse 19. Also, thou shalt not approach unto a woman to uncover her nakedness as long as she is put apart for her uncleanness. What does that mean? Don't have sex with a woman on her period. Ooh, that's getting close to home, isn't it? Don't have sex with a woman while she's on her period. Israelites, you hearing this? Let me ask you, do people have sex with girls when they're on their period? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I fortunately for me, I never did that. I always thought that was kind of disgusting myself. Not that I'm better than anybody else, but I'm just that the blood, man. It's blood. But people do it. Let's continue. Moreover, thou shalt not lie carnally with thy neighbor's wife to defile thyself with her. So you seeing somebody, now we're getting close to home, right? You see, you gotta, and oftentimes when these things happen, the people know each other. Like there'll be one couple, there'll be another couple, and the man from one couple is looking at the woman from the other couple, and she looking at him, and eventually they hook up. That's called adultery. Why is that adultery? Because that woman is having sex with her husband, and that's the only man she's supposed to be having sex with. And now the man from the other couple is having sex with her too. That makes her a whore. And that makes that adultery. See, we like to dress it up. It's an affair. No, it's not an affair. It's harlotry. It's whoredom. When a woman or a man cheats with another married person, that's whoredom. Now, we haven't gotten to what the Most High is thinking about all this yet. I mean, we're getting the idea. He says it's wickedness. He's telling you that. It's abominable. He's telling you that. But the world don't think that. I mean, there's been lots of stories written and made and movies made about that scenario. Two couples know each other. Man from one couple goes with woman from other couple, or vice versa. And they have an affair, a storied affair. That woman just became a hoe. That's adultery. Okay, that's adultery right there. Let's continue. Verse 21. Thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Moloch, neither shalt thou profane the name of Yahweh, I am Yahweh, of thy most high, I am Yahweh. So Moloch, they were sacrificing their children to fire. So you don't sacrifice your children to a pagan god. You don't sacrifice them to any god. Most High never requires you to sacrifice your children. He called Abraham to do it once, and then he stopped him because he was just showing him how Father was going to let his son, his only son, he said, die for the sins of his people. But he never required anybody to kill their daughter, though it has happened out of ignorance in the book of Judges. A man killed his daughter, sacrificed his daughter, because in Judges, they lost sight of the Most High altogether. Man sacrificed his daughter in Israel, and he was trying to tell you, don't do that. Let's continue. Oh, wait a minute. Verse 22. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination. Family, question. What does the world say about that? Does the world say that's okay? That if you speak against that, it's hate speech? And yet here, thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination. You see, let's talk about homosexuality for a second. In the Bible, a person that doesn't have sex with a woman is called a eunuch. That's what the person is. A person that doesn't have sex with a woman is called a eunuch. For whatever reason, they don't have sex. Either they became, Messiah said, he said, there's been some that were born eunuchs from the womb. He said there are some that make themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. And he said there's some that are made eunuchs of men. Let's go into the different categories. Born eunuchs from the womb. What does that mean? That means you don't have a natural draw to a woman if you're a man. You don't have a natural draw to a woman. I'm going to be frank. I always say my videos are not made for children, so I'm going to speak frank to y'all. When a man that's natural man sees a woman or gets close to a woman, you know, a man by his either what he sees, what he smells, what he touches will get him excited. Will have him wanting to have sex. I mean, she could just be wearing something that looks appealing to him. She could just smell a certain way, right? Or if he touches her skin, that will cause him to want to have sex with her. A man that's, a real natural man. But the man that's born the eunuch, that won't do nothing for him. Matter of fact, if he see her wearing something, he may want to wear it. If he see a smell she have on, he may want to put that on. He has no desire to have sex with her. She could touch him all he wants. He could touch her. There's no desire there. He was born that way. There are people born that way. Okay? So what are they supposed to do when they're born that way? I'll tell you what they're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to have sex with mankind as with womankind. So you may not have a natural affinity toward a woman, but you're not supposed to commit sodomy. Nor have, you're not supposed to commit sodomy. You're not supposed to have your penis in somebody's behind, another man, or have another man's penis in yours. That's not supposed to happen. So you say, what do I do then? You become a eunuch. You don't have sex with anybody. I'm not saying you're supposed to force yourself on a woman. You can't do that. But I tell you what, y'all tell me the truth. Like most homosexuals that I have seen in my life, right? They like hanging around women. They like to have a lot of women friends. Is that correct? I mean, am I telling y'all something that's not true? A lot of homosexuals like to have a lot of women friends. They keep company with women. And that's no problem. Just don't have sex with a man. They're supposed to remain eunuchs. Now, I'm talking about people that want to serve Yahweh. I'm not talking about people that's not interested. Those don't care about what I'm telling you. They don't care about what the Bible says. They got whole churches based on sodomy. Whole Christian churches based on sodomy. In every denomination. So they're not listening to this, obviously. But if you are a follower of truth and you are born a eunuch, and that's what I mean, when you're born, you don't have a natural affinity to a woman, you're not supposed to have sex with anybody. You're not supposed to commit sodomy. You're supposed to remain celibate. 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 Or you're a woman and you don't have a natural affinity toward a man. You don't have a desire for a man. A man don't do nothing for you, but a woman excites you. Okay. You can hang around dudes. A lot of these lesbians like to hang around dudes because they think they dudes. Cool. But don't go licking up in some woman. Don't be a womb licker. That's not for you. That's not for you. You want to serve Yah, you're supposed to be celibate. Wait a minute. Let's break from here for 1 second and go to Romans. Romans chapter 1. Romans chapter 1. Verse 26. For this cause Yah gave them up unto vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burn in lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meet, which was proper. That word meet means proper. So in other words, you practice these things, it's not going to work well for you, health-wise or spirit-wise. It's just not going to work well for you. Okay, there's reward in bad health as well as shortened life, as well as the wrath of the Most High. So you could be born with tendencies toward the same sex. It does happen. Why does it happen? People don't like to admit it happens, but you have to understand the gene pool's been corrupted. Sin has corrupted the gene pool. It was never the Most High's will that people should be born blind or deaf or homosexual. But since Adam and Eve made the choice to be gods, we have been in this situation. And you get all of that and more. You get all kinds of problems from the womb, from the gene pool. So don't be surprised if somebody come up out of the gene pool and they just don't care about having the opposite sex. Sometimes it's like that. But if you want to serve Yah, you will not commit the abomination of actually coming together with the same sex. You're going to be celibate. Okay, celibate. Then, of course, there are people that become eunuchs of men. That's what happened with Daniel, Hananiah, and Mishael. That means They had their private parts, as far as their gonad parts, cut off, and they had no more desire for women, nor any desire for men, nor any ability to procreate or have children. They were made eunuchs of men. Then there were those that were born with the natural affinity, but chose to remain single to focus on the kingdom work. Apostle Paul. Apostle Paul focused completely. His whole life was given over to the kingdom. He never mentioned a marriage. He said, matter of fact, he'd rather everybody be like him. Of course, he said, if you can't, better to marry than to burn. And I'm glad he said that. Matter of fact, he said the leaders really should be married. Really should have at least one woman. That's what he was saying. But he himself stayed single and gave his life literally to the cause. Okay, that's you, that's you. Unless the grace of the Most High came on me, that would not be me. But that's my brother. Okay, but here he said very plainly, thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination. This is plainly stated in the word of the Most High. Now, again, if you're a Christian and you talk about the law done away with, you can't say nothing about homosexuality because this would be done away with to you. Okay, all these things we just read been done away with, nailed to the cross. See how stupid that is? Oh. Let's continue. Verse 23. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion. Have people have sex with animals? Absolutely. That's where you get the Neanderthal from. Look up Neanderthal. It's the result of human beings having sex with animals and procreating with animals. I hate to say it, but there's only one group of Noah's sons that has the gene. Of the 3 sons, only one of his sons' children have the gene. They all have small traces, some larger traces of Neanderthal. I'll leave that there. But only one of his 3 sons had that gene, the Neanderthal gene. And that's from having sex with animals. Okay, there's been queens of England. There was one queen, I forgot her name. She would have a horse strapped up. I think she died like that, trying to have sex with a horse. Had a horse strapped up on some contraption to have sex with. So this stuff is not, he wasn't making that up. People did that. I know it sounds crazy, right? Truth is truth, though. Okay, let's continue. Verse 24. Now watch, this is the conclusion of the matter. Defile not yourselves, Yahweh says, in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you. So he cast out the Canaanites of the Hamitic people. The Mizraim, he said, don't be like them. And why? Because they practice all of these things. They practice all of these things. And he said, don't do that like these nations did, because I cast them out before you. Brethren, the whole earth. Remember what he said in Jeremiah. He's going to make a full end of all the nations where he scatters. Why? Because they all practice all of these things. But as the Israelite chosen people, we are not to practice these things. And I think he covered it all. When we talk about homosexuality and lesbianism and who you're supposed to lie with and who you're not, I think he covered the whole thing. Basically, she's not supposed to be a near relative to you. Technically, I think second cousins and you know, you good, you go past second cousins, you good. But sisters, aunts, uncles, fathers, mothers, brothers, no. Not even halves. Okay, not even halves. Let's continue. Verse 24, defile not yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you, and the land is defiled. Therefore I do visit the iniquity upon it, and the land itself vomiteth out her inhabitants. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you. Again, remember, strangers that sojourn among you. So the grafted in brethren are not supposed to be acting with these things either. Y'all got that? So even though the grafted in brethren don't need to be circumcised, they don't have to be, you still don't practice these things if you're grafted into the nation. Okay? You don't do that. And you know how you don't practice these things? You don't practice these things by the power of Father's righteousness given us through the Lion of the tribe of Judah. That's how you don't practice these things. You want to know how a homosexual remains celibate? By the power of the righteousness of the Father Yahweh through the Lion of the tribe of Judah. You want to know how a lesbian practiced celibacy? By the righteousness of Yahweh, the Father, through the Lion of the tribe of Judah. That's how. Let's continue. Verse 27. For all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled, that the land spew not you out also, when ye defile it, as it spewed out the nations that were before you. For whosoever shall commit any of these abominations, even the souls that commit them shall be cut off from among their people. Therefore shall ye keep mine ordinance, that ye may not commit, that ye commit not any of these abominations, abominable customs, which were committed before you, and that ye defile not yourselves therein. I am Yahweh, your most high. So for the Israelite nation, this is the truths that we follow. Of course, this goes against what the world teaches us, especially we talked about the homosexual situation. You know, you got homosexuals on all the front pages of every place, especially if it's a black man homosexual. They can't wait to put you on the front so everybody can parade you around. An abomination to the Most High. See, so if we're following truth, we're going to be at odds with the culture of the earth. Notice he said, don't practice these things. The men of the land practice these things. The Egyptians don't do like what they did in the culture you was in. Don't do like that. We should not be surprised if we don't fit in the current culture. See, we're in the world, but we're not of the world. This is what it means when it says you're not of the world. It means you are seeking to remain faithful to the covenant of Yahweh. You are seeking his righteousness to bring him glory. That automatically puts you at odds with the world because you're being obedient to stuff like what we just read in Leviticus 18 when the world is not being obedient to that. The world is not being obedient to that. They're telling you it's done away with. Okay? So, yeah, in the media, as I said, it's a constant deception, constant misdirection. I just showed you the deception in the deception. So they're ignoring Haiti. They're focused on Afghanistan. They made 20 years of $1 billion a month. That's 240 months. That's 240 billion on the minimum from Afghanistan. Politicians, corporations, they got paid from the U.S. tax dollar. People got killed, men, women, and children in Afghanistan, as well as soldiers, men and women here. And then now they're letting this extreme Muslims come in there where they're cutting people's head off in stadiums. It's a corrupt situation we're in. While at the same time they're sending $4 billion of U.S. taxpayer money to Israel in the form of weapons every year. Every year. Because the United States of America and the UN, those are the real messiahs of the state of Israel. Not Yahweh Shah, not the line of the tribe of Judah. No, it's the UN and the United States. Those are the real messiahs for the state of Israel. That's the true messiah for them. Because you take away that messiah, they've been destroyed. Been destroyed. Okay, been destroyed. And this whole system is going that same way. It's all going that way. As you can see, like I said, when you're looking at the pollution, when you're looking at the natural disasters, when you're looking at the corruption, I just gave you a little tip of. When you're looking at the poverty, while some people's worth 160 billion, there's 600,000 men, women, and children don't have a place over their head, and there's thousands and millions around the world ain't got a roof over their head, and there's a lot of them don't even know where their next meal coming from. This is the unrighteous world in which we live. And it doesn't matter if it's capitalism, socialism, communism, doesn't matter what the style is. The same thing happening to people in China under the communists that's happened here in the capitalists. It doesn't matter. The same situation. Okay? So it's a corrupt system in a corrupt world. And we need to wake up to the truth of the word and not follow the media of man, because they will deceive you. And they are deceiving the multitudes of the people. That's why the Bible talks about a remnant. It says it in several places. Go ahead and look up the word remnant. It's in several places. Only a remnant is going to be saved because of how corrupt this thing is and how deceptive it is. And what I'm saying, but pray to the Most High that your eyes be open. That your eyes be open for the Most High Yahweh, not according to being your own God, but that your eyes be open for Yahweh. By his spirit, by his truth. I pray the Most High will bless you and keep you, and that he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. I pray he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom.